Hello and welcome to Open Line. I'm Starlene Stringer. Well, the season of giving is upon us and several local charities would appreciate you thinking of them during this time of generosity. And as you planned the end of the year gifts, they all also have great stories to share about all of their work and what they do. Our guests today are Irving Healthcare Foundation President John Drake, Irving Cares CEO Teddy Story, and DFW Humane Society Administrative Assistant Michael Whiteside. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about, and I know it's been a very exciting project that you have underway. We want to talk about that, but first, for our new viewers that are tuning in going, well, what are all these organizations? What exactly do they do? Let's go through each of your organizations and have you tell us about them. First, we're going to start with you, John. What is the Irving Healthcare Foundation?
The Irving Healthcare Foundation is one of the best ideas Irving has ever had, and that's the founders created a foundation where any healthcare charity in town who wants to partner with our foundation can. And we raise the funds and then they do the good services. So what's great about that is we have not only the only charitable hospital in town, which is Baylor Scott and White Medical Center, but we have the Irving Community Clinic, which provides medical and dental care for folks who have no insurance, the uninsured. Then we also have the Canine Companions for Independence Kincaid campus, part of Baylor Scott and White, that's just now opened in the last month in North Irving. And we also have a great partnership with the Irving YMCA, and that's to battle family obesity. So we have a program that's been around since 2008. So we have those four great, really worthy charities that we raise money for.
Wonderful. We look forward to hearing more about that, but we're going to move to you next, Teddy, and find out what exactly is Irving Cares.
Irving Cares is a charity that was founded in 1957 when a big tornado came through Dallas and people in Irving didn't know where to turn to give help or to get help. So they wanted to create a place that was a central information center, so we're still that, but also they wanted to eliminate hunger, and we're still working on that as well. Plus, we also offer financial assistance for rent or utilities, and we help people find jobs to promote their own self-sufficiency so that maybe they won't need to come to Irving Cares any longer.
Wonderful. And Michael, I feel a little bit bad because we have another guest that I did not introduce. So as you prepare to tell us about the DFW Humane Society, please introduce your friend.
Certainly. I brought Thornton with me today. He is a one-year-old Shepherd Retriever mix that is currently available for adoption. He's very sweet and well-mannered. The DFW Humane Society is a nonprofit no-kill shelter that was founded in 1967. And we provide shelter for homeless and neglected pets. We house about 60 to 80 pets at any given time and try to find loving homes for all of those animals throughout the year.
Wonderful. And I want to come back to you, John, and ask you about, since we're looking at a canine there, talk to you a little bit about Canine Companions for Independence. It's an exciting project. What exactly is it?
Canine Companions for Independence is an amazing agency out of Santa Rosa, California. And they provide assistance dogs, service dogs. And until last month, they had five regions. Now they have 6. The 6th region is Texas, and that's because they've opened a center in Irving, Texas. It's right in the north part of the city near the 635 and MacArthur area. And it's a facility where they will create or train 3 types of dogs. Canine Companions does 4, but they'll produce 3 of the types of dogs that they create. Puppies are actually born in California. They're whelped in California. They live with their moms for till they're 8 weeks old, and then volunteer puppy raisers all over the country raise these dogs until they're 18 months old. Then they're turned in to our Irving facility, and then where they have advanced training, and that can take up to 6 to 9 months. But once those dogs are trained, and these dogs will have up to 70 commands, they'll be awarded, and like I said before, 3 types. An assistance dog, someone who helps someone who has physical needs to live independently, somebody that maybe they're in a wheelchair, or they need an assistance dog that can literally and figuratively open doors for them. It's just a great facility. We'll also produce companion dogs. So if you have someone that has a child, for example, that has medical or psychosocial needs a companion, these dogs can be companion dogs. Typically there's a parent or a guardian in the home that cares for both the child and the dog. The 3rd type of dog, I just saw my first facility dog graduate. About a month ago, we had a graduation ceremony, and 4 dogs were awarded, and one of them was a facility dog. This is a dog that will live with an owner or caregiver in Marble Falls, Texas, and this lady runs a counseling center. So this dog will be available and be part of children's counseling, children who've been abused, experienced trauma. She's actually going to be working, the owner of this therapy center is also going to be working with, to get this dog certified as an officer of the court. The dog will wear a badge and actually be able to be in the courtroom. So if a child is facing someone they're accusing in court, that dog can actually be in the witness box with them.
Wow, very fascinating.
It is
We're going to come back to you and learn more about all of that in just a minute, because it's very interesting. But I want to come to you next, Teddy, because I know Irving Cares has been very successful with another program, an employee program from employment. Can you tell us about it?
You know, when a lot of people think about Irving Cares, they think about food. They think that the food pantry is the only thing that we do. Right. But one of the more important programs, and the one to me that really changes a customer's life, is the employment program. Because when someone can get a job, they'll be able to afford to take care of themselves. So we've had some really good success in that program. We started it in 1998. We used to have a clothes closet where people would come and get their free clothing, but it didn't really solve anything. You know, it just filled that little gap. So when we created the employment services program, back at that time, there were more jobs than there were people. So we were hosting job fairs. We were having employers come in all the time. Well, now in Irving, unemployment is at 3% or less. The unemployment rate is in the 3s. So it's really, the people who don't have a job right now are the ones that are really going to struggle to find a job. Maybe they have problems in their background, or maybe they don't have a high enough skill set. So we work individually with those people to help them eliminate their barriers to employment. You know, maybe they don't have their high school diploma, so we can help them get their GED. Maybe they need a certification. They're trained as a cosmetologist, but their certification is expired and it's from another state. So we can help pay for those certifications. Then we match them up with an employer who has those openings. So we've had some really great success. Last year, 147 people got jobs, and their average wage was $11 an hour. So, you know, it's not just entry-level jobs that they're able to get now. You know, some of them are in fast food and some of them are in retail, but people are working at grocery stores. They're working at staffing agencies. They're managers at fast food places. They're you know, call centers. They're getting jobs that are at a higher wage so that they then will be able to take care of their own families and not need to rely on agencies like Irving Cares for help. So that's the real mission at Irving Cares, is to provide temporary assistance and training to promote the client's self-sufficiency. So, you know, everybody can then be able to take care of themselves instead of having to rely on help all the time.
Wonderful. Thank you for laying that out for us. And Michael, I know Thornton's been saying, is it my turn? Is it my turn? It is your turn to talk. And I know y'all are very busy over at the Humane Society at this time of year also.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know you're looking for something called Holiday Fosters. What exactly is that?
That is, yes. Usually the 2 weeks around Christmas and New Year's, every year we hope to find foster families that will take in an animal just for the 2 weeks. That gives them a break from the shelter and the stress of the shelter, and gives them, you know, some time in a warm, loving home, because, you know, most of us consider pets our family, and that's all these guys really want is a family. You know, they don't want to spend their Christmas in a kennel on the concrete floor. I mean, we have a great facility, but, you know, it's great for them to have even just a short time out of the shelter. Can help with their stress levels, and give them a little bit of training if they need it as well. So that's usually, we'll start that on December 22nd. Okay. And people can come in and choose an animal that they want to foster, and just keep them for 2 weeks, and then bring them back.
Wow, that sounds fun, and sounds like a great thing to do to help the pets out. And Thornton's going, hey, I'm loving this cameo. So tell us about Thornton. Is Thornton yours, or is Thornton available? Or?
Thornton is available.
Okay.
He is available for adoption, or if he's still around on December 22nd, he'll be available to go home for foster for the holidays. He actually came to us from the city of Irving. He was one of the animals that we rescued from them. And so he's been with us about a month. He's about a year old. And he does know a few commands. He's getting a little anxious right now because he knows I have treats in my lap.
That and we've had
So
cats
that's
up on the
kind of-
monitor, so they're looking at
Yes,
cats
and he
too.
exactly, and I did notice he caught the cameras
Uh-huh.
when they were showing the Canine Companions footage. He noticed the dogs on there and was watching them also.
Smart, so a very smart dog.
He's a very smart. He's a very smart dog, and he's very, very gentle, especially for
Loving,
his size.
as
Yeah,
we can see
definitely.
there. Well, speaking of canine companions, John, this is very interesting. We talked a bit about it, but didn't get all the information. So let's talk more about that. What made Irving and Baylor Scott and White really good matches for this?
Well, I think we have to view healthcare as changing, not only from an insurance side and from a national
Sure.
healthcare reform standpoint, but healthcare is much more than just what you get in the hospital or what you get at a rehab center. Healthcare is about, ideally, staying well and out of the hospital. So if you can provide an animal to someone where they can live independently and they have the help that they need, you're providing a healthier existence for them. I think Baylor really saw that as part of it. It actually really was even the kind of the dream of an Irving resident, Ed Kincaid, and one of our federal judges now, but just the greatest guy. He had a dog, and they used to do therapy visits in the hospital, he and his dog, and out of that came a desire to really see Baylor, since he was on the Baylor Scott and White board, to see Baylor more involved in some animal assistance animals. And they thought about doing it themselves, and then they realized there was a partner in Canine Companions for Independence out in California. They really had wonderful core competencies in placing these animals, and they knew exactly how to do it. So they carved out a partnership.
Interesting. And when you mentioned California, it made me want to ask you, so what kind of success have other programs experienced with this in other parts of the country?
Oh, in Ohio, everywhere they go, in Florida, in Arizona, wherever they have a location,
Sure.
you have people applying to get these dogs. And I will tell you, what I love about philanthropy, this is the season of giving. It costs $50,000 to get one of these dogs ready and to provide a life of service.
I think some people don't realize that. A lot goes into
But the
it.
people who receive them don't pay a dime. These dogs are provided. They do pay for ongoing veterinary care and food, but they don't pay to receive these dogs. They apply, they're qualified, and so, and really, they'll come to Irving, Texas, when we have dogs available, dogs that have finished the advanced training. They'll come to Irving, Texas, and live here for 2 weeks. And the first week, they kind of find out what the chemistry between a dog and a human. And then after they match them, then they do some specific training. Just a great story. One of the veterans who had received one of our dogs really suffered from PTSD pretty extremely, and would panic when someone would approach from behind. So during his training time, they taught that dog to, anytime anyone approached from behind, that dog would go and stand between whoever was approaching. So that was his signal to know, oh, someone is approaching from behind, and he didn't have to have that kind of panic response. So these dogs do remarkable things, and I love the fact that Canine Companions said yes, and they agreed to Texas, and they chose Irving because we're really in the center of the country. We're convenient, access to 2 major airports. They're both about 10 minutes from our front door here in Irving. So it was just a great fit. Baylor wanted to keep people healthier, and Canine Companions wanting to see their dogs, more people have their dogs.
Makes sense. Really great union there. She's like, okay, here comes the dogs moving down. He's coming to each one of you now. Thornton's like making his way into the camera shots. But Teddy, I want to come to you next because another popular program is the food pantry. And you mentioned it a little bit earlier when you were saying how you actually were helping people find employment now so they can get their own food, but the food pantry is still much needed. It's very popular. How does it help people? How does it work?
The food pantry at Irving Cares serves an average of almost 900 families a month.
Wow.
But at Irving Cares, the food is not, it's not like, come get your groceries every week. You come when you need it. Say it's a single mom, she's working, she has a job, but her kid got sick. So she has to take time off work, and she has to spend money at the doctor and at the pharmacy, and her paycheck is short. So what does she do? In order to make ends meet again, we can help her with those groceries because the food orders at Irving Cares average about 85 pounds. They're based on the certain number of servings of fruit, fiber, dairy, protein, all the things you need to have a nutritionally balanced order so that the family will be able to meet their nutritional needs. But we're able to kind of offset, if you had to spend your grocery money in another way, we can come in and fill that gap. So the food pantry is a great way to get involved in your community. You can donate food. You can bring it down to Irving Cares. You can sort it and put it away in the food pantry, and then you can give it away to the customer who needs it. So it's really full circle. You know, it sees those groceries coming from your pocket to the people who need it. So it really does, you know, and what you see is that the customer who needs food looks just like us. They just have different things in their pocket.
And I'm glad you pointed that out, because oftentimes I hear people say things like, oh, people are going to get the food because they don't want to work or they don't want to do this. But oftentimes it's people who are working. And as you mentioned, the mom who had a child that got sick and they just find themselves on tough times, or the person that gets laid off. And so it can be anyone. Like you said, they look just like us.
They're paycheck to paycheck people. They are working. They're really trying. It's just that they don't have enough income to offset these emergencies. So that's what we do.
Well, thank you for explaining that. Now, I know it has been a very, very, very wonderful, spectacular year for the DFW Humane Society. Michael, we want people to know that Thornton's just taking a break. You know, no one's taking them yet, so Thornton's still available, and we'll be back. But I want to talk about something that you had recently. You had a really cool event, the Black Collar Affair.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about it.
Black Collar Affair is one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. And this, for the past 2 years, we've had it at the Four Seasons in Las Colinas.
Nice.
And we're doing a nice little format called Canines, Felines, and Cuisine. And we have 10 to 12 chefs representing restaurants that come in, serve tasting plates to the guests. And this year we actually broke a record for fundraising and raised $108,000
Wow.
just for the one event this year.
Wonderful. That's huge. We were looking at some of the video, and we still are looking at the animals just getting pampered and loved on there. We love that. John, I'm going to come back to you now, because I know people can get involved with Canine Companions. There's volunteer opportunities. How do they go about doing so?
Actually, they can go to our website, which is healthyirving.org. And if you click on the volunteer link right up at the top, there's a box that says volunteer. Click on that. And there's a link to the volunteer page for Canine Companions. There's also a contact number for someone they can talk with if they wanted to talk about hours and their availability.
And what about other volunteer opportunities with the Healthcare
All
Foundation?
on our webpage. So
all right there.
if you want to volunteer at the hospital, you'd like to volunteer at the community clinic, or you want to be involved with our obesity battling programs for families at the Y. We have volunteer spots at all of them.
Wonderful. And now I'm going to switch to you, Teddy, because we have some great video, and it shows the children, the students from Singley Academy volunteering at Irving Cares recently, which is really cool. Tell me exactly what they did and other opportunities that are available to lend a hand.
Sure. Irving Cares only has 13 staff members, and we served last year nearly 14,000 people. So there's no way in the whole wide world that we could do that without the help of volunteers. So we have volunteers from all different groups. They come from schools, they come from churches, they come from corporations. They do all different kinds of things in the food pantry, from sorting and categorizing the food, putting it away on the shelves, to preparing food orders, to preparing hygiene bags, the shampoo and soaps and razors, getting those ready for the people who need that in the employment program. You know, volunteers do everything at Irving Cares that staff members do. They help us with fundraising, they help us with filing, they help us interview the customers who need help. They do just exactly everything that staff does. So we're very blessed to have that much help. Over 1,100 volunteers came through the doors last year at Irving Cares, and it was more than 20,000 hours. So our goal is to always have, we want to have more volunteer hours than the Y, because that's really hard, because they have so many sports and coaches and dads and moms doing stuff. So that's our goal, is to have, you know, at least 2,000 hours a month, and we're getting pretty close to meeting that goal, so we're really excited about that. But volunteers are the lifeblood of Irving Cares, and you know, for the longest time there weren't any paid staff at Irving Cares, but now we do it with a very slim staff, but a ton of volunteers who do great work for us.
And they just sign up on your website as well?
Yes, irvingcares.org is our website, and Kyle Taylor is an Irving guy. He's lived here all his life, and you know, he is the coordinator of volunteers who will make the perfect match for them. Whether you want, you know, we even have some sit-down jobs. We have some jobs that are very physical, some that, you know, pushing and pulling in the food pantry. But if you can't do that, you know, don't let that limit you, because there's other stuff to do as well.
Okay. And Michael, what about DFW Humane? Tell us about volunteer opportunities you have.
Just like Irving Cares, we rely a lot on our volunteers, because we only have 7 staff members. We have 5 kennel attendants, our executive director Sarah, and then me. And so without volunteers, we couldn't take care of all the animals that we have. But we have volunteer orientation once a month. It's typically the first Saturday of the month. And we do want everybody to go through that so they learn how to do dog handling, kind of learn the layout of the shelter as well. And then from there, volunteers do everything from mobile adoption events. They come in and help customers in the shelter find a pet. They help clean, they walk the dogs, they socialize the dogs, play with the cats. It's kind of the same thing. They have an opportunity for just about anything that they want to do. Whether they want to get out and run, teach the dog some tricks or agility, or if they want to stuff mailers that we're getting ready to send out. We certainly could not do it without our volunteers.
And I'm glad you pointed out that they do give you the training you need to help with each organization. That's very, very important. John, something else that's really important and exciting, but I'm glad you're here to talk with us about, is a new grant matching opportunity for the Well Women program. Tell us about it.
The Discovery Foundation in Dallas is a wonderful granting organization. Last year they gave us $75,000 to provide mammograms for needy women.
Wow.
Just like Irving Cares. These people who come to an Irving Community Clinic, many of them work in multiple jobs, and yet they still qualify for care based on their household income and the fact that they're at 200% of poverty level. So for an individual, that's a household income of about $21,000, $22,000. For a family of four, it's only $44,000. So they qualify. Well, Irving Community Clinic provides both medical and dental care, which is spectacular.
Amazing, yes.
And so Discovery gave us $75,000 last year. They've just renewed that $75,000, and they gave us $40,000 additional for a Well Woman program. Now, they issued it as they're giving it to us as a challenge grant, which says that every dollar that we raise up to $40,000 and $40,000 that dollars plus $500, that they will match dollar for dollar. So we're blessed. We already have a couple $1,000s raised toward this. We just started fundraising right at Thanksgiving. And so we're a few days into it, but there's not really a deadline, but we do want to get this done as quickly as possible, because once we have it, we'll be able to fund an additional worker who will help with coordination of care, medical care, vaccinations, providing vaccinations. It'll help provide that. Also, depression counseling, being able to screen people for depression counseling, and then health coaching. So really, like Teddy's trying to help you become independent and to have this life, just to have the health that you could enjoy if you just had someone who really could give you some easy changes that could make a big difference. Little changes can make a big difference in your health and in your life.
Wonderful. Thanks for explaining that to us. And Teddy, I want to come to you because I'm interested in knowing, how does Irving Cares raise money? Our budget in cash is about $1.4 million, and we are a United Way agency. We write grants all year long. Our development director is Heather Newell, and she is in the business of finding the money that we need to produce these services. About 22% of our money comes from individuals. So it's people who care about helping others and people who care about making sure that others' basic needs are met. So we have a couple of campaigns where we ask people for money, but then we also have a gala. Our party is called the Great Harvest, and it's in September. We've set the date again this year for September the 16th is back at the Irving Convention Center, and it's a wonderful facility there. This year we broke a lot of records. We finally made 400 as our attendance. That was one of our goals. Nice.
And we raised $277,000. So, wow. We write grants, we ask people for money, we have the gala, and then, just networking. You just talk to anybody that will listen.
There you go, whatever it takes to get it done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And Michael, we mentioned a bit about the Black Collar Affair, but what other things do you do to raise money for DFW Humane?
Most of ours are letter campaigns. We have our holiday campaign letter out right now, just looking for year-end fundraising, because it costs about $25,000 a month to operate the shelter. So any last minute money at the end of the year can be very helpful. Almost all of our funds come strictly from individual donors. We don't really get any grants or haven't gotten any grants, so it's mostly individual donors that help us raise that, and we usually do about $450,000 a year in individual donations.
Well, with that said, this is the time for you all to give your pitch, and we'll start with you, John. What are your greatest needs, and how can people provide them for you? Is it financial? Is it, what is it that you need, and how do they go about getting it to you?
philanthropy is just love of people. It's not about money. So if it's time, if people have time, we encourage you to go to the website and click the volunteer button. That's one of the quickest ways is to get involved. Helping us reach this challenge grant, or if you love animals, we've got two great options, the DFW Humane and also the new K9 Companions. You can give to any of our needs, but matching the Well Woman Challenge would be great. We've also got some great things coming online, some new services at the hospital that hopefully next year I'll be able to tell you all about it, but some great things that are coming that are really going to improve the health. So lots of great opportunities to give at healthyirving.org.
Wonderful. And your greatest needs, Teddy?
At Irving Cares, we need your time and your talent and your treasures. So we need you to come down and volunteer. We need you to give us your gifts of your knowledge, the things that you know how to do. Help us be better stewards of your money. And then also your donations to Irving Cares are very well spent. You know, we always are looking to make sure that the most of our money goes towards programs. And at Irving Cares, we spend 81 cents of every dollar on programs. And the industry standard for that is about 70 cents. So give what you can and you know, just find something that helps your heart, that compels you.
Same with DFW Humane, Michael?
Very much so. I mean, especially for our Guardian Angel Fund, which is the fund that takes care of medical expenses for the animals that are in our care. But also give your home to an animal that needs one, because through no fault of their own, they're in the shelter, and they could really use a family and a home. But even donations of food, because we get clients from Irving Cares that call us if they're having trouble feeding their pets. And one of the best ways to keep pets in the home is to help the owners. And if we can do that, we can offer them free food where they can come and maybe be able to keep their pet and not have to give them up.
And you know what, I want to mention this too right now. Another need is for people to go by and actually adopt pets, as you were mentioning. Can you tell us what people will find at the Humane Society right now?
Right now, I know on our side we have about 23 dogs and 37 cats and kittens available. Lots of cats and kittens, all shapes and sizes, all ages, and we have some really fantastic pets that are, just like Thornton, who has gone on a tour of the studio, I believe.
Yes.
But he's a great dog. He just needs, a family that can take care of him. And, our rates, it's $100 to adopt a dog, $85 for a cat. But that includes spay neuter, vaccinations, microchip, a free vet exam within the first 10 days. So it's, it actually is not a lot of money considering what you get for the adoption fee.
Wonderful. Money well spent, definitely. We met Thornton. We love Thornton, so we can tell you that's definitely a good one. I want to come back to you, John, because I know it's been a very busy year, as we've mentioned, for Baylor Scott & White, and I think it's really cool that you have so much going on with them, including the renovations that were unveiled recently. How were you involved with that?
We were blessed to be able to raise more than $2 million for the new emergency department, and that's just people. Most of it was individuals giving to the expansion of emergency department, almost really a doubling in size, in physical size, and we went from 30 rooms to 50 rooms. So we have one of the most beautiful, most technologically advanced, with the best trained staff, emergency rooms, I think. And what I'm really proud of is just we've been able to report back to those donors and tell them this is what your dollars are doing. I mean, the wait times are typically under 20 minutes, but you're getting Baylor quality care, and we're really pleased, proud of that. So, plus the hospital just did, as part of the emergency room expansion, we moved some departments, and out of that we actually were able to renovate the main hallways, create a new lab with a
really
department.
nice.
So the movement, the expansion of the emergency department created the opportunity to create some new spaces for other departments, and to really make the front lobby and hallway just a gorgeous, clean, bright, beautiful place.
Yeah, money well spent. And our final question will go to you, Teddy, and that is, how important is end of year gifts?
At Irving Cares, it is very important because our fiscal year ends in March. So this is one of the last appeals that we have during the year. And a lot of times people do save those gifts until the end of their calendar year to see how they're doing financially, how much have they donated already, how much do they have left in their budget to donate. So we hope that Irving Cares and all these wonderful charities here that are here today are going to be able to be included in those calendar year end gifts.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here to talk about these wonderful organizations. We really appreciate it. And thank you for watching. I'm Starlene Stringer. Please be sure to join us live on Thursday, January 14th at 1:30 p.m. for our next edition of Open Line. Our guest will be Irving Police Chief Larry Boyd. If you have questions, email them to ictn@cityofirving.org, and we'll get answers for you on our next edition of Open Line. We'll see you then.